Okay, ladies and gentlemen, brup, 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 and all that stuff. Let's have another reggae rhythm. The answer rhythm. Absolutely huge rhythm. Goes back to the 60s. It's been covered in every decade since. So the sounds change, the drum beat changes depending on the era. But the one that I know it from is this version, Rubber Dub Soldier, they're using the answer rhythm from 84, 85. This tune was absolutely bloody huge on the street back then.
I'm just a rubber dub soldier, fighting to keep the rockers alive.
Yeah, massive tune on the street, this. Absolutely huge. And it had that new electronic reggae sound, which was partly the reason, and the other reason was the lyric, really, which I won't go into, but it just was about getting out there, going to work and raising the kids and doing the right thing and being a soldier. Do you know what I mean? But this goes back, this rhythm goes all the way back. Here's the Studio One version, and it's about the bass line. There are two variations of the bass line, and there's this brass lick. Wanna be free now. So it's about the bass line. The drum beat changes with each decade as it gets covered again and again, but as the sounds also change, but it's about that bass line. Okay, and the two versions, the single note boom boom ba da ba dum boom, or the double boom 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 da 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 dum dum, and that brass lick da da da, turn me loose, yeah, da da da, wanna be free now. Okay, so let's have a look at this, the answer rhythm. It's an absolute classic. As I said, it's all about the bass line and that brass lick. The drums aren't that important, they change from decade to decade. And I've done a rough cover of the one that I'm familiar with, this Rubber Dub Soldier, which has got a quite like 84, 85, early mid 80s electronic type sound with using cheap keyboards and things, right? So let's check out what I've got. Okay, so here we are in Logic. I do these reggae tutorials in Logic, but it's the same for every sequence. So you've all got a piano roll, so we just put the notes on the piano roll. Okay, this answer rhythm, it's all about the bass. So let's look at the bass first. There's the bass line. Let's look at one section of it. Okay, and it's about, you got a variation on this bass line. This is the double. So you get bob-bum, bob-bum on the first two quarter beats, and there's the double again on the third quarter beat, but it's got this feeder note leading into it. So ba-dum, 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 dum, 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 dum. Yeah. Like this. Okay. But the variation is just using two notes, and they want to be about that long, just going over 2/16. It's about the gap, boom, gap, do, 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 right? That's the single, and that's the double. And they want to be quite staccato. It's a double. So if I was playing bass in a band, and they said we're going to do the answer rhythm, I'd probably start off doing singles for the intro, you know, like, and then drummer would come in, and then I'd drop to the doubles, dum dum, and then you just vary them, right? So you could do the single like that, quarter note, and then the lick at the end, or double on the quarter note, double on the quarter note, lick at the end. Okay, like that. Now for the sounds for this, as I said, it's one of those like early to mid 80s tracks where people started using old MIDI kit, pre-MIDI kit rather, and some very early cheesy MIDI kit. It was about using cheap electronic gear. So you're not going to get some sort of mega synth sound. I ended up actually using a Wurlitzer for this. Okay, it's the Wurlitzer, which is a keyboard that was around in loads of studios, and it could do bass if you just played bass lower down, or organ type sounds, right? You can clearly hear on Rubber Dub Soldier there's a lot of chorus on it. I'm using a lot of chorus with intensity. It might even have phasing on it as well, actually, which is part of this keyboard. Okay, so with or without phasing, whatever, but it'll do. That's near enough. Okay, it's a synth, it's a keyboard electronic type sound rather than a real bass, right? On this version, not the old original Studio One version. Okay, so that's my bass and bass sound. There's a little variation at the end of the bass line. I think I've got it right. It's a bit hard to hear the final notes of the lick because it's very muffled in the mix, but it's the same start, bum 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 bum, like that. So I think I've got it right. I know this first bit's right, but these last three notes I'm not sure. So it goes dum 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 dum. And that harmonises okay with things. So that's the bass. Now the drums, it's again an early analogy sound. It's really simple. There's a hi-hat. Let's just look at one pattern. Just one pattern, please. There we are. So, listening to that Rubber Dub Soldier version, I can't hear any velocity changes on the hat. Normally, if you've got a row of 16th hats like this, you'll vary the velocity of every other hat. So it's got some yeah. But they all sound identical to me. So it's just a straight 16th hat, and we're running at 79, 80 beats per minute. So we're running at what I call traditional reggae time, which puts the drop on the 2 and the 4 with a 16th hat. And it's an 8th stepper kick drum beat. Okay, so if we just take out everything other than the hat and the kick, this is the hi-hat doing 16ths and the stepper kick going bup 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 on the 8ths. If we could have it soloed, please. Okay, really easy peasy. Okay, now at this what I call traditional reggae tempo, or you can call it half speed, whatever you want, you have 16th hats, and for a stepper you have 8ths on the kick, and that puts the drop on the 2 and the 4. There is actually a snare there, look, on the 2 and the 4, but you barely hear it in the mix unless there's a breakdown section, but I'm putting it in just the drop on the 2 and the 4. It's just an acoustic snare, it doesn't really matter to me what it is. But there's this clap, and the clap pattern is doing a clap on the drop on the 2, a clap on the drop on the 4, but there's this ka at the end, like this. Let's mute the snares. Like that, okay? Then finally there's a cowbell here, which is doing that traditional boom, dang dang, boom, dang dang thing, like that, like this. Let's mute all that. Now this is a very traditional thing. On other versions it might be played with a timbali. This is a traditional drummer lick. Loads of drummers do this. The full-blown thing, they'll often do this kind of thing where the stepper is being kept down with the kick drum, like boom, 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 hi-hat, and then the drop on the timbali is going to be like bam, 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 and bam, bam, on an offbeat. Bam, 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 like that. So you can have that kind of thing going. It's taken from that. So you could extend it across all 4 beats, so it's on the last 2/16ths of each quarter beat, like that. Right, the other thing that drummers would do is they would do that variation at the end. like that. Okay, but what they're doing in this is they're just doing it on the first 2 quarter beats and then dropping it out. Okay, and then the claps come in with that cat, cat, boom, cat, cat at the end, like that. Oh, cat, cat, and the snare on the drops. There it is. That's drum beat. For the sounds, well, it's old analogy type sound, so what I'm using is, for the hat, it's clearly quite a splashy hat with a little bit of a metallic edge to it. It might even be a 606, but I'm using a 707, which has got the splash. Okay, you're hearing some of the other drums cut through on the reverb there, but it's quite a splashy hat, but it's not an open hat, right, or a pedal. So that's my hat. Okay, and I've just lowered some of the bottom end here with the low cut on the actual drum machine, but you could do it on the channel, whatever you like. Oh, motorbike. I'm using, for the kick, I'm using a 606 kick, actually. Okay, which is fairly thumpy. And the cowbell, I'm using a straight 808 cowbell. There. Just pitched up a smidge to match the track more. What else have I got? And then the hand clap is quite a splashy clap, as I said, like this. You know, like some clap trap type thing, or a Simmons clap. It's quite 80s big clap, like rather than tight, like a 707 clap or something, or an 808 clap. Okay, so that's it. You know, simple. And the snare is just this snare. If we unsolo the clap, just using any old snare, doesn't matter. Right, and that's the drums, and they go with the bass like that. Okay, now the stabby brass thing in the original Studio One, it's done with a couple of real saxes. There's probably a third note in that chord as well. Like that, but you can clearly hear there's a soprano and an alto sax or something doing an octave thing, and there's probably another brass in the middle of that doing one extra note to make a chord. But this is what I've got. This is the stab. It's da, longer notes, da, 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 like that. And I'm just using, again, they're using some old polysynth doing a brass patch, so I just went through and got a basic polysynth brass patch. That's all I'm doing. That's it. Oh, some of them, there's quite a lot of modulation wheel being applied. Yeah, we can just do that quickly, can we? Where's the mod wheel? Modulation. Let's try putting some modulation on. Yeah, like that. Plenty of mod. Yeah, which is optional, right? Whoop, come on, go away. That's the brass lick, and the notes I'm using is a G chord with the 7th. I think that's the 7th. I'm not great with music theory, and an octave at the top. And I do a variation in this third repeat where I'm adding an extra B at the top, like that. Okay, so that's that brass lick. Like that. Let's hear it with the variation there. Like this. And then there's a keyboard underneath it, and again I used a Wurlitzer for this. Kind of keyboard that would be around. It sounds like it's a softish keyboard, just a Wurlitzer I'm using. So it's just an organ sound. Electric keyboard sound like this. I'm not sure I've got the chords exactly right, but G to C is what I'm using, and it goes with the melody and everything, and the bass line, If if we look at just one cycle of that, just one bar of it, there it is. It's just a ba-ba, right? So on the last 2/16ths in each quarter beat, boom, da-da, boom, da-da, da-da, da-da. But those 2/16th da-das work with the polysynth, which is doing da-da, but 1/16th later than these two licks are doing it here. They're doing it on the 3rd and 4th 16th, and the brass lick is doing it on the last 16th and the first 16th, the first beat of the next quarter beat. So that's the position of the keyboard lick there, and then these two layer on it, so you get 1, 2, 3 stabs across those 3/16ths, and they kind of layer together like this. Okay, and then bass and drums and bing bang pong. That's it, mate. That's the answer rhythm. It's all about that bass line. Dum 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 dum, or dum 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 dum, and that brass lick, da da da, and that's it. Then you can use any sound you want. I've got another bass sound here. Look, that'll work just as well. Let's mute the original Wurlitzer bass. So you just make your own, right? There you go. The answer rhythm, very very famous rhythm, covered in every decade. It goes on and on. A real classic. I hope that's useful for you. This tutorial it's just about introducing you, because it's for people who are new to this music, making this music. So I'm showing you these basic rhythms because it builds up a vocabulary of rhythms for you, so you know this one now. It's a really classic bass line. Boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. You can vary it. If I was playing bass, I'd go like boom, boom, ba-dum, boom, boom, ba-dum, 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 boom, boom, ba-dum, 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 boom, ba-dum, 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 boom, 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 boom. You can just vary the little endings and whatever. But it's about that bottom, or boom, boom at the start, right? And as far as the drums are concerned, there is a variation which you get on the Studio One original version. Where instead of doing the 8th stepper, they're not doing that. They're doing it's more like a drop thing like that. But they're doing a double kick at the start of it, like that. And without those claps. That gives you a more traditional beat. We'll take the cable out. Kind of thing, you do whatever you like. Undo. So it'll work with a 1 drop type, with the drops just on the 2 and 4. It'll work with a stepper, whatever you like. Okay. Anyway, there you go, the answer rhythm. I hope that's useful. I will see you for another one soon. Cheerio now.